Hey guys, hello. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Xena and I am a life coach. I help women to create the futures and the lives that they really want by understanding how to utilize and use the most powerful tool that they have, their minds. I'm also the founder of Solo Women Travel Tribe. So it started as a community for solo female travelers. I actually started it because I felt like I was the only female who ever traveled on her own. Totally not true. There are thousands of us out there doing it. And now the community has over 35,000 women from all over the world. So it's like a support system. And we all come together to learn, inspire, share, and connect. It's one of my favorite places on the internet, especially to find fellow female travelers and to know I'm not the only one doing it. There's heaps of us. And it has grown. Solo Women Travel Tribe has grown into quite a large kind of brand. We now have a few services and things that we have on board, which is super exciting. Just so you all know, right now I am on a solo trip. I've just finished a magical tour through Vietnam and I'm now on a little island called Phu Quoc off the southern coast of Vietnam, and I am solo. I'm all by myself. I love to travel solo. I also love traveling with others, but there's something magical about traveling on my own, and I feel super empowered and just inspired when I do it. And I learn so much about myself in the process. So hopefully that might encourage you a little bit more to give it a go. All right, so I'm going to dive into this training. So today I'm talking to you guys about feeling nervous or anxious or afraid of traveling on your own, okay? So feeling anxiety, feeling nervous, feeling a little bit of fear, feeling afraid, it's all part of the human experience. We all feel it in our day-to-day lives. And I think that even more so, if you are booking a trip and you've never traveled solo before, heck yes, you're going to experience it. Sorry to break it to you, it is going to happen. You are going to feel anxious, you are going to feel afraid, and you're probably going to be a bit nervous about this. But I got some good news. I'm here to help you. So I'm breaking this training down into 3 parts, all right? So first of all, what are anxiety and nerves? I'm chucking fear in there as well. I want to talk a little bit about that. So what are they, okay? That's number 1. Number 2, where do they come from? I really find it helpful when I understand things like what is it, why do I feel it, where does it come from? Once I understand it, it makes it so much easier to change it or to feel better, okay? Which brings me to number 3, which is how to feel better. Don't worry, I'm going to teach you and show you how to feel better, okay? Now, I also want to offer you this, all right? When you feel anxious, it doesn't mean something has gone wrong. If you feel nervous about this solo trip, it doesn't mean something has gone wrong. I think just knowing that is really, really powerful. So I want to offer you that up front, all right? Okay, so what is anxiety? I'm going to focus, before I answer that, I just want you all to know I'm going to focus more on anxiety because I want to get super specific with you guys. But what I'm teaching you, what I'm training you, and what I'm showing you, it applies to all of our emotions, negative and positive emotions, all of them, okay? So I'll talk mostly about anxiety, but this relates to anxiety, to nervousness, to feeling afraid, okay? Which are some of the emotions that you are likely to experience on this first solo trip, all right? So what is anxiety? Anxiety is an emotion, okay? It is a feeling. It's a feeling, and I like to describe feelings as an emotion, a vibration in our bodies, okay? So when you feel a feeling, when you experience an emotion, it's a vibration in your body, all right? And it's the same for, feeling nervous. It's a vibration in your body. That is what it is. It is what anxiety is, a vibration in your body. It's an emotion, a feeling, all right? So next, let's look at where these come from. So our feelings come from our thoughts, okay? So when you feel anxious, it is coming from what you are thinking. Our thoughts, what we think, creates the feelings, those vibrations in our bodies, okay? So I want to run you through some examples, because I think that is often the most easiest way to grasp this and to fully understand it, is if I give you some examples. So let's just say you've booked your very first solo trip, and like me, you live in New Zealand, you call New Zealand home, and you've booked your very first solo trip and you're going to Bali, okay? So you fly to Indonesia and you're going to Bali for your very first solo trip. And you've booked it, and then you start to panic and freak out, all right? And your brain's having a whole bunch of thoughts about this, like, what the hell have I done? I can't travel on my own. What if something goes wrong? What the heck am I gonna do? What if I can't get in touch with anyone? What if I don't like it? Holy shit. Your brain's freaking out and you feel super anxious, right? So all of those thoughts that you're thinking, what if I don't like it? You feel worried about that, right? Or what if something goes wrong while I'm there? What am I gonna do? You feel afraid. You see how those thoughts that you think create those feelings in your body, all right? Now, our brains want to conserve energy, right? They want to do as little as possible. They want things to be easy. They love comfort. Our brains love to stay in their comfort zones. So they like to conserve energy and they want to be comfortable all of the time, okay? So when you go and do something you've never done, such as book this solo trip, your brain is going to freak out, because that's outside of the comfort zone and that's not conserving energy, because we're going to have to do a whole bunch of things we haven't done before. And your brain's going to freak out, okay? Because remember, your brain wants to stay in the comfort zone and it wants to conserve energy. That's just how our brains work. So our brains are going to start to imagine all of these potential what if, potential worst case scenarios in preparation to try and put us off going and to avoid potential discomfort and to stay in our comfort zone, right? So our brain's going to do that because it thinks it's helping. Our brain thinks it's helping us by doing that, all right? So this is just default, right? That's our brain's default, which is just really good to know, right? It's only doing that because we haven't trained it to do something else, which we can do. Don't worry, I'm getting to that part, okay? So you haven't shown your brain that there is another way to approach this situation and that we could actually feel differently and feel better about it. That is also available to us, okay? We just need to show our brain that this autopilot, this default of doing these things and feeling this way, doesn't have to be that way, right? It's just our default, but we can also train our brain to do something else, something that serves us better in this scenario, okay? Now, I've got good news for you guys. Here is the good news. All of your thoughts are optional. So remember, what you think creates the way that you feel. So what you're thinking is creating the anxiety about the solo trip. And all of your thoughts are optional, right? We get to choose what we think. We have the power to choose what we think, right? But at the moment, a lot of our thoughts are subconscious. They're on autopilot. We don't know we are thinking them. We can't see them and hear them, and we just feel that feeling because we're not aware of what we're thinking. It's just happening subconsciously, autopilot mode, all right? But the good news is that once you find those thoughts, you can see what's causing your anxiety, then you can change the way you're feeling. And I promise you can feel better, all right? So that's going to transition into number 3, how to feel better. So What I want you all to do is I want you all to grab pen and paper. If you have a journal, you can use your journal. I always journal when I'm doing this kind of thought work, okay? But grab pen and paper. It's really important that we write this down because the act of writing slows our mind down and it helps us to find greater awareness of what's going on in our head, okay? And that really is the first step here, is to bring awareness to what we are currently thinking in order to find out why we're feeling anxious. You guys tell I love hand gestures. I just realized I use my hands a lot. All right, so back to it. So grab your pen and paper or your journal, all right? And at the top of the page, I want you to write this. Why am I feeling anxious? Okay, so let's use the example again that you've just booked this first trip and you're freaking out, you're panicking, you're thinking of all the worst case scenarios and your brain's like, ah, and you're feeling like this intense anxiety, okay? Right at the top of the page, why am I feeling anxious? Now, I want you to write down everything that it could be. Write and don't stop writing. Don't pause to look at what you just wrote. Don't worry about spelling it correctly. Don't worry about writing it perfectly. It doesn't matter. Only you are going to see this. Just write it all out unedited and keep writing until you feel like you've written everything. You might write, half a page. You might write 5 pages. I'll usually write at least a page when I'm doing this thought work, but you do what's right for you, okay? Why am I feeling anxious? Answer that. Write as much as you can because it's so powerful to get it out of your head and onto the paper, okay? To be able to see it, to physically see what is causing your anxiety, okay? If you're not sure what to write, ask yourself this. What might it be that's causing my anxiety? What could it be that is making me feel anxious? What might it be? And just be creative. Okay, and you will find that it starts to flow out of you, right? So just write as much as you can and fill up that paper. And once you're done, pause, take a few deep breaths, and then I want you to look back on it and understand that everything you just wrote are thoughts. Those thoughts are the reason you are feeling anxious, okay? When you think those things, you feel anxious, okay? Now, it's really, really important that you understand this. Thoughts are only true if we believe they are true. We have the power to choose what we think and what we believe, okay? A belief is a bunch of thoughts you think over and over and over again, all right? And you believe that they are true. So everything you've written down, you don't have to believe. You can look at it and you can question it. You can choose to say, that's not serving me to think that way. It's not serving me to think that and feel anxious about it. Okay? So everything you've written down is not true or false unless you believe that it is true or false. It's just thoughts, and thoughts are optional. You can choose them, okay? You can choose to go on thinking everything you've written down if you want to, but you don't have to, okay? So the next step is I want you to look at how else you can think about the solo trip you've booked. How else can you feel about this solo trip? So, turn over the paper, get a fresh sheet of paper, or, move your journal over and write at the top of the page, what are all of the amazing things that might happen on this trip? Okay, what are all of the amazing things that might happen on this trip? Now, this is getting your brain to look at all of the possible best case scenarios instead of the worst case. It's training your brain to look at the positive side of this equation. Because right now your brain is trying to stay in the comfort zone and avoid, doing too much work, basically. But we want to train it to look at the other side of this scenario. What are all of the amazing and wonderful things that might happen? What's the best case, right? And you can go as creative as you want in answering that in your own words. I'll share some of mine with you to get you started, because if you're in that intense place of anxiety, it can be really hard sometimes to take yourself out of that and look at the other side, because you're in the worst case scenario right now and you're deep in it, in that anxiety. Once you've written it all down, it brings awareness to it and you're like, okay, so make sure you write it all down before you go to, how else can I look at this scenario? What are the amazing things that might happen? Okay, once you've written it down, it will be easier to look at that, but I'm going to give you some anyway. So when I think of going on a solo trip and I think of some of the best case scenarios, I think I am going to learn and grow so much as a person. I am going to tick some of the items off my bucket list that I've been wanting to do for years. I'm going to get to lie on the beach and drink cocktails in the sunshine. I am going to meet some amazing people. I am going to get out of my comfort zone, and I know from experience how good that is, how powerful that is, and how great I feel afterwards, right? I'm going to learn so much about myself in the process. That's something I already know from solo travel. Every time I travel solo, like it can be to the same destination, it can be to new destinations, I learn and grow and evolve as a person, and it's so powerful. When I travel solo, I meet the most amazing people, and I'm just so much more open to meeting people. And I love hearing about them and learning about where they live and their day-to-day lives. And I have met lifelong friends by traveling solo and being open to meeting people. It's magical. It's such a different experience, right? What else? I'm like, I love to travel solo, but I appreciate that at the same time, not everyone feels that way, or they don't feel that way yet. Here's some other ones. This is the beginning of something great. This might just be the best thing I have ever done for myself. This is going to be magical. I am going to learn and grow so much. I am going to have an amazing adventure. I know that regardless of what happens, I will figure it out. I learned this thought from Marie Forleo. Everything is figure-outable. And I believe that. And it serves me so well to believe that, because no matter where I travel to, I always believe whatever happens, I'll figure it out. I am a capable, resourceful, smart, badass woman, and I'll figure it out. And so will you. You just have to believe that it's possible, right? So I want you to fill up your page with as many thoughts as you possibly can. Then go back and read them. Go back and read over them. And when you find yourself feeling anxious again, do this again. Right at the top of the page, why am I feeling anxious? Answer it all. And then once you've done that, on another piece of paper, how else can I look at this scenario? What are all of the amazing things that might just happen from me going on this solo trip? And I want you to answer that, okay? So just to recap, I want to leave you guys with this. Anxiety is a feeling, it's an emotion, a vibration in your body, okay? It comes from your thoughts, from what you are thinking. That is great news, because your thoughts are optional. We get to choose what we think and what we believe, all right? That is it, my friends. That is it for this live training. I really hope it's beneficial to all of you. Feel free to reach out to me on social media if you have any questions. I also have a podcast, Solo Women Travel Tribe podcast, and there may be some episodes on there that can really help you with your solo travel adventures. All right, guys. Huge love to you all, wherever you are in the world, and I hope to see you in person one day somewhere out in this big, beautiful, wide world. All right. Thanks, everyone. Take care. Bye.